Well, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I had a gentleman ask me about the recessed foot pedal tray on the Xpress boat, and I remember when I first got this boat, it didn't have one in it, and it was hard to find information online of where to cut and what you're going to be cutting through. So here is the actual piece that came out when I made the cut, and there is a structural piece of aluminum tubing in there. What I was telling him was, and this tray is aluminum. There's plastic options as well. This one's aluminum. To make sure that it was going to be structurally sound after I cut this piece out, like I said, I went with the aluminum, and instead of using the sheet metal screws or the self-tappers that, you know, over time the threads just strip out, I drilled pilot holes and got these machine screws, and they all have nuts on the bottom. So it's a machine thread screw with a nut on the bottom. So once you tighten them all up, it was a process. I had to get in this compartment and get underneath there, get my wife to hold the screwdriver up here while I tighten them from the bottom. But I felt way better about using the bolt style, or the bolts with the nuts, because I also use lock nuts. So I mean, they're not coming off. And I'll jump up there and show you just how sturdy it is. So when I'm standing up here, and I didn't even put one here because I felt so good about it with the rest of them, but as you can see, I mean, it doesn't flex. It's perfectly fine. Like I said, there is a piece of tubing in there that runs the length, and it's also what supports your seat bracket. But like I said, as long as you use the nuts, lock nuts on the bottom, threaded bolt, you're good to go. It's always nerve-wracking to cut a hole in your boat, but for me, it's kind of like, it's so uncomfortable that without it, I'm not even going fishing. So for me, it's like I have to cut a hole in it, and it just is what it is. But it worked out good. I also did the one on my Bullet. It didn't have one in it either. And the only difference with the aluminum boat is you don't have to worry about anything delaminating because it's all aluminum. But in the bass boat, the only difference is when you cut the hole, you're going to want to get some fiberglass resin and seal back everything so no moisture gets in there and it doesn't start to delaminate. It's really the only difference. Now the one in my Xpress, like I said, it's aluminum. It just came from Amazon. I want to say it was probably like 70 bucks. And the one on my Bullet, I got from Bullet, but it's a Comfort Troll brand, and come with the logo, and it's also got the plier holders right here, which honestly I never use, and the cup holder. So if you got a Xpress boat and you want the recessed foot pedal tray, I would just say get underneath it first and look under there with a flashlight. You'll see everything that's going to be in your way. Make sure you're not cutting any wires or anything, because there is some wires that run up here for your trolling motor, and if you got any electronics on the front. But I definitely have no regrets. I love it. So much more comfortable to fish in with that foot pedal being level. With that piece of aluminum channel in there, that tubing, you'll have to take a grinder when you go to do the cut and just cut the sheet metal, the plate, the aluminum plate on the top. Just cut it out. Then you can take a Sawzall, stick in there, and cut the tubing. I always like for mine to be as far forward as I can possibly get them. So I do think I did take my grinder and kind of cut the corners to kind of match the angle of the boat. Took this piece of trim off and just made sure I got it as far forward as I could get it, because I do a lot of river fishing, and making an accurate cast is really important. And the further you can stand forward on your boat, you know, you can roll cast so much easier across the front of the boat without hitting the trolling motor. So along with the foot pedal, I also added these rod straps and this EVA foam just to dampen the sound when you're picking rods up and throwing them down. Just kind of keep it quiet. And I got them on both sides, and you can put 5 or 6 rods on each side and be very comfortable. I hope that answers your question and helps a couple people out. Also reminds me, I never talked about my boat, really, my Xpress. So this is a XP 170 model. It's 17 foot long. It is an absolute perfect everything boat. If you're looking for a boat that can do everything well, this is it. It's good saltwater because it's aluminum trailer, aluminum wheels. It has Vortex hubs. can go duck hunting in this boat, you can go deer hunting, you can go bass fishing, you can go crappie fishing, and it doesn't cost a whole lot to take out. You can fill this boat up and fish all day for $20. So it's good on gas. Another thing, one of the reasons I bought this boat is, one, it's a good do-it-all boat, great for the kids. There's no carpet. When you get home and it's a muddy mess, you just wash it out, water hose, good to go. But so this is the tiny boat that I built a while back, and has definitely caught way more fish than any boat I've ever had. I built this boat from scratch. It's been sitting for a while, but got a rod locker on both sides, got a live well in the middle, and this was really my sneaky boat, my go places other people can't go boat, and fished a lot in it and won a lot of money, won a lot of tournaments in it. But it got to be where a lot of tournament organizations were requiring you to have a steering wheel and a factory deck in your boat, plus it had to be at least 16 foot long. So that's when I started looking at these boats, and it's just the perfect small do-it-all boat. This one is actually a 2017 model, and some of the newer ones, the rod box comes all the way over here, and this seat's kind of offset a little bit, which I really didn't like. So I kept an eye on Marketplace for a long time, and this 2017 came available, so I jumped on it. I just like the layout a lot better on this one than the newer one. So I'll hop in there right quick and just give you a little tour, a little layout of the boat. And like I said, it's 17 foot long. It's not huge. It's a good mid-sized boat. There's plenty of room up here for me, maybe one or two other people to fish. And like I said, after I added those rod straps, you can put 5 or 6 rods on each side, no problem. Got a 7-inch Garmin up here just with sonar and mapping. This boat does have the 24 volt, 70 pound edge, and I will say, if you do get this boat, do yourself a favor and get the 24 volt trolling motor. Storage box up front is huge. It's actually, it goes all the way up under, as y'all seen when I showed you the trolling motor tray. But huge box. Most time I put everything I need for the day in this one box, just so it's up here at the front and it's handy to get to. It's got a small rod box. It does not have any rod tubes, but honestly, if I know I'm going fishing, tournament, or just fun fishing, I'll just lay my rods on the deck. That way I don't have to fool with the rod box. At the seats here, as I was saying, I added this foam step too, and it did have a third seat in it, so if you wanted the third seat, you could put it in. Storage underneath the seats. I added a 9-inch Garmin at the console with side imaging, just so I'll have something to look at. The only thing that the boat didn't come with that I had to have was a live well timer, because it was just live well on or off, and it didn't have a timer, so I just bought this simple timer. I think it was on Amazon, so you can adjust it to come on very often or not so often. So that's really the only upgrade that was really necessary if you're going to be doing a lot of tournament fishing. On the back deck, the live well lid was turned around, so it opened this way. I guess so it didn't blow open while you were trailering the boat, you know, pulling it down the highway. But it was so inconvenient, because when you catch a fish, you know, you want to go right here and cull or do whatever you need to do. So I turned it around, took the screws out, flipped it over, and just to make sure that it doesn't blow open when I'm going down the highway, I just added these like Yeti style cooler latches. And as you can see, I mean, the live well in it is plenty big enough. You can put 5 fish in there, no problem. These back storage compartments are fairly small, but they're good for like throwing rope or drinks in. You could probably use it as a cooler also. So another reason I like the 17 footer is because it's rated for a 70 horsepower, which is the same block, I believe, as the 50 and 60 and 70 are all the same engine family. So a whole lot lighter of a motor than when you jump to a 90, because the 90 and the 115 are all the same engine block family. So you're going to be saving about 100 pounds on the back of your boat if you go with the 70 versus the 90. And for me, that's good because, you know, I want the boat to draft as little as possible, lightweight as possible, so I can get back into those backwater creeks and whatnot, and, you know, not have a big issue going over trees and logs and whatever else I might come in contact with. Now, I will say the boat is no speed demon. I mean, you're not going to be running 50 mile an hour in this boat. I think the best I've ever seen, and I haven't played with the prop or anything. Because I'm really not worried about going fast when I'm going out in this boat, but I've seen it run about 34. I will say that with the 70 and the factory gas tank, I want to say it's 18 gallons. As you can see, 18 gallon tank. You're not going to be going super fast, but with the 18 gallon tank, I have went 60 miles round trip in this boat in a day and still had some left. So, I mean, you can go a long ways. There's my two 24 volt, or my two batteries for my trolling motor, cranking battery. Got my charger down here too. Like I said, I will definitely recommend the 24 volt trolling motor, because even with that 70, you know, where I fish tidal rivers and whatnot, you're dealing with a lot of current. Even the 70 feels a little on the light side for me. So that's my little tour of the XP 170. I love it. I think it's a great boat. A little overpriced if you're wanting to buy new, I think, but you can find them used and in good shape. I bought this boat used with 40 hours on it, so not even ready for the second oil change yet. And I got it for almost half price of a new one. Like I said, added my little live well timer. Put a couple units on it, which it really didn't need, but at the time I was getting ready to fish a tournament at Santee, and I had to have it because my bass boat wasn't ready yet. So went ahead and put that on. But yeah, overall, great boat, man. Cannot find a better, just an all-around boat. Now on the Bullet, I'm finally getting it dialed in. Ran into one small issue, which I'm going to show in my next video, and that's why the cowling's off. It's an absolute rocket ship. I got it flashed. I bought a 30 pitch Bravo. I tried a 29, it ran great. I think a 30 is even gonna be a little small, but it's gonna be a great prop to use while I'm fishing. But yeah, ran into one small issue on it. That's why the cowling's off. And I'm gonna show that in a video here shortly. Well, as always guys, thanks for checking the channel out, and we'll see you on the next one.